Okay.
This is your Floy Watson. Where were you born, Floy?
I was born in Hugo, Oklahoma,
And what was your birthday?
November the 24th, 1931.
31. Okay. What do you remember about Hugo?
Well, I don't remember very much because I was only about 3 when we moved from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't remember it, but I just remember stories that I've heard,
Yeah,
you know.
right. You remember the house that you lived in?
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, it was just a tiny little place, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it was home.
Yeah. What do you remember about your early childhood?
Well,
What are the
Really?
earliest memories you have?
it wasn't easy.
Yeah. What was hard about it?
Well, you know, it was back in the Depression days, and so it was a little rough when we first got to Henrietta.
Yeah.
And I remember Daddy rented a place up by the post office, the next place
Really?
from the post office. Put in a little cafe there, and it had an upper part that was like a balcony, and so the folks lived up there. And I guess all of them, Grandma, Grandpa, and Daddy, and me, and Mama, and Charles was there too. He was just a baby.
Mm-hmm. So all of you moved from Hugo together
Yeah, we all moved together.
with Dad's mom and Dad also.
Yeah.
Any other members of the family move? His brothers and sisters, or just
Well-
mom and Dad?
They weren't with us. I don't know if they came later or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or in separate cars. I'm sure they did because
Yeah.
it was just us on the truck.
Mm-hmm.
It was an old truck in not very good shape. And Floyd said he remembered us driving into town.
Really?
And I said, yeah, and there I was, just sitting right there on top.
What made them decide to move to Henrietta?
Well, I don't know exactly. I guess it was kind of hard to get a job in those days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they chose Henrietta,
Yeah.
but I imagine that, well, Uncle Roy, he probably searched around and found that
Mm-hmm.
it would be better in Henrietta.
Right.
So then, I don't know how it happened, but we moved then down to next to Floyd Watson, Watson Grocery.
And that was on Main Street?
That was on Main Street.
Okay.
And so Daddy set up a restaurant there,
Mm-hmm.
and they had really good business. It
Really?
really got good, you know, around.
Mm-hmm.
And they served good meals, and it was just a good place to go.
Did you live there in that cafe?
Yeah, we did. Let's see. It was later we lived in the cafe. We had a place down on North 1st Street,
Okay.
705 North 1st Street.
Hmm.
It was a tiny little house, but we rented it from people on the corner, Langfords.
Hmm.
They were really nice people.
Right.
And so we lived there a long time
Mm-hmm. On First Street.
on 1st Street, North 1st.
Yeah. And then you moved into the cafe after that?
It was after that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember why you moved?
Well, Mama decided that the only way she was going to ever have anything was to go to work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the cafe. So she went in to the cafe, and some of the waitresses were just, you know, just slopping around and not taking care of business.
Hmm.
So Mama said she was going to make a difference there, which she did. Got rid of all them and
Really?
put in her own people, you know.
Right.
So it worked out better.
Who did you have working for you at that time? Do you remember?
Well, we had, even Grandma was working. Grandma Adair
Really?
was working in the cafe.
I didn't know that.
And then later, my other grandma, Brown, worked for a little while there.
I
So
didn't
it
know
was just
that.
like a family affair.
Interesting.
So, but it worked out well.
Yeah.
And then Flor May came along, and Harold.
So her name was DeVelbus at the time,
DeVelbus.
right? She was
Yeah.
married to Harold.
Right. So we all worked there, and it worked out well.
Mm-hmm. So then you lived in the cafe for how long? How old were you when you moved out of there?
Let's see, how old was I? I'd say probably 10,
Hmm.
9 or 10 when we moved in the cafe,
Right.
in the back of the cafe.
Right. And then you moved out of there when you were how old?
Moved out, well, it was after, or during the war. It was about
Okay.
44, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that we moved into the house down on Trujan.
Okay.
So, first it was a big house with porch all around. And Daddy decided, you know, that we should have bedrooms there instead of porch. So I remember them working on it. Had the plastic hanging down, you know, all around. I didn't like that part. I didn't like messing up the house, you know.
Right.
But he had had different people helping, you
Right.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this one guy that would come to the cafe a lot. Daddy decided to have him to cut open for a window, little window. He hacked and chopped and made a big mess. Daddy was so mad. He had to redo all that
That's
so
funny.
he could put a window in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that was the way they handled that. So we'd have plenty of room.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What happened before you moved to Henrietta? You were burned as a little child. How did that happen?
Oh yeah, I forgot I was in Hugo then. And I was chasing a little pig around that they'd put in the house because it was real cold and they didn't want the pig to freeze, you know, outside.
Mm-hmm.
So they put it inside and I was chasing it around the wood stove, and they had a pan underneath where the ashes would fall out in it, the hot ashes.
Right.
And I fell somehow and hit my face right in that pan.
Mm.
So everybody just had a fit, you know.
Sure.
And Grandma Adair, I guess, was there just to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And they all started crying, you know, and trying to decide what to put on it, the best thing.
Mm.
So I guess they went to the drugstore and they recommended Ungentine. And so they put that on there, you know, a bandage,
Mm-hmm.
and it healed it up really well.
How old were you?
I was about 2, I guess.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said my first words.
What did you say?
My first sentence. Little baby got burned.
Really?
Yeah. And they started crying. Because that was so unusual, you know.
Yeah.
Unusual first sentence.
Absolutely. Do you still have any scars from that?
Well, I didn't for a long time, but I think now maybe, I was thinking this side, but they said the right side.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's their right side or mine.
Yeah.
But Mama always said it was this side, so
Mhm.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
But didn't show any scar.
Yeah, you can't tell now. Can't see
Yeah,
anything.
I guess you couldn't for a long time.
Yeah, it must have been a pretty bad burn though.
Oh, it was really bad, they said.
Yeah. So what do you remember about Mom and Dad as you were a little child? What do you remember about Dad? What kind of person was he?
He was really busy, you know, running the restaurant. But he was a good dad, but he didn't give us very much instruction.
Mm.
You know, mainly he left that up to Mama.
Yeah.
So she was excellent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She'd read to us from the Bible, and she would tell us what we should and shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
She was just really good at that, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So, Daddy was more like, I don't know what to study. He liked
Mm.
books and that, you know.
Yeah.
For Mama, hers was more common sense,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But you need both,
Right.
book smart and just common sense.
Mm-hmm.
So a combination of the two made it well.
Right. He was running how many businesses at that time?
Oh yeah, he was running that one, and then he put in a grocery store for my grandpa, and then up on about halfway up there was this streetcar.
Mm-hmm.
So he puts a fruit stand in there, and he really loved that, you know.
Right.
So he worked there a lot.
Yeah, I have a picture of him at the fruit stand.
Yeah,
It was an old abandoned streetcar, wasn't it? That had
Yeah.
been put on Main Street there as a
right,
storefront.
right. It was really great, you know. I
Yeah.
liked it,
Mm-hmm.
liked the idea.
Yeah. What do you remember about Mom?
Well, I know she worked hard in the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't go to the other places very much. She stayed in the cafe.
Did she?
Yeah.
She was sort of the manager there, right?
Oh yeah, she was the manager.
What do you remember about Charles, our brother?
Oh, I loved him. He was such a special little guy. And Mama knew there was something wrong, you know. And so she looked it up in an old doctor book. And it was said atrophy, called it atrophy instead of dystrophy. So it was, the way that explained it was exactly how he did, you know. He
Mm-hmm.
walked with a gait, kind of a gait, couldn't walk well.
Right.
And then when he started school, he couldn't go up the stairs. That's generally the first indication.
Right.
And so I would walk him to school,
Mm-hmm.
you know, walk with him real slow. Took a long time.
What school?
It was Washington.
That's where you went to school?
Yeah, you know, our whole family went there,
Mm-hmm.
even Floyd.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that was really unique.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Uh,
You walked where?
I would walk Charles to
Walked
school.
to school.
And so then I would walk home to lunch, and I would eat my lunch, and then I would take him a lunch. And I guess probably I walked him home from school too. I don't remember.
So he wouldn't walk home at lunchtime. He would stay there, and you'd bring his lunch.
Right, he would stay there in the room, and I'd bring him his lunch.
So you'd walk home and then back with his lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How much difference in age was there between you and Charles?
I think there was only 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was 2, I guess he was born.
What do you remember about his personality? What kinds of things was he interested in doing?
Oh, he had a great personality. And he would build things by scale, going by the scale. He wanted exactly, to scale.
Models?
Models. Even built our house. And you and Bob got up on the house and measured and would let him know, and he would, figure out. He was good at that.
Right. I have that model of the house. Here.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
We loved that house,
Yeah.
So he was really a pleasant person.
He seemed to have a good sense of humor. I read some letters that he wrote.
Oh yeah, he had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of us, I think, have had a good sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what got us through, I think.
Yeah. What do you remember about Bob as a child?
Oh, I don't know. He was a good little guy, I remember. He was black-headed, where the other brothers were blonde.
Right.
The ones that come after him.
He was more like Dad.
He was more like Dad, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I remember he liked airplanes. He's always liked planes.
He did, yeah.
And he was on a tricycle and it was holding one of these little planes. And he fell off and it hit him on his head. So that was bleeding and everybody, we were all having a fit.
I never heard that.
Yeah. And then he had pneumonia. We were out, well, Uncle Roy said the kids couldn't stay in the cafe. Business would make business bad. So I was outside and pushing him in a buggy, and it was cold as could be.
How old was he?
He was about, close to 2, I think. And, well, he wasn't quite 2, I don't think, and he got wet, he wet his pants, and well, I didn't realize it, I guess. And then after that, he started getting sick, cold and that. Next thing you knew, he had pneumonia. And we were living in that house on 1st Street, North 1st at the time. And Mama would just lay in bed with him so he could nurse and all that, as much as she could. And he got better, but what the doctor was doing hadn't helped a lot, so she went to the drugstore there and asked the druggist what he thought she should use. And he said to try pneumoticine. And I remember that because it has pneumonia in it. Pneumoticine. And so he said to put it on make a poultice, put it on a cloth, smear it on a cloth, and lay it on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And that would loosen the flame. So she did that, and then when the doctor came, he would come for visits, He said, she told him what she had done, and he said, "Oh my goodness, you shouldn't have done that. I haven't done that in years." And he said, "What you need to do is lay him where his feet are up and his head down so that flame can run out."
Mm-hmm.
So she did that, and he started getting better. But he was so weak, he couldn't even hold his head up.
Really?
Right, and he couldn't stand up. He couldn't, couldn't play like he used to. So she just took care of him, and she'd make when she'd cook the beans, she'd give him the soup. And he'd hit the high chair and say, "Hear me, I want bean soup." It was so cute. Yeah, so he got better, and she would sit on the warm side of the house, even if it was, kind of chilly. She'd sit where the sun was shining so he could get some sunshine. And she just really, took care of him, and next thing you knew, he was getting around really good.
Really? That's
Yeah.
good. What do you remember about Albert?
Well, he was a real, I don't know how to say it. Like, I told him, "Now, don't you be talking to strangers," and this guy said something to him, being friendly. He said, "That guy said something." I said, "He was just being friendly." But he was, he knew what he wanted, and, like when they put him in a school, a Catholic school, so that it would be one floor, so he could get around better. But they would set him outside and just leave him there. And one day Daddy didn't come quite quick enough, for him. So he decided he was just gonna start walking. Well, he walked for a little while and he started getting tired. So he just went up to this house and knocked on the door and said, "Could you take me down to the cafe on 4th Street?" Said my dad hadn't come after me yet. And they brought him down there,
It's funny.
So he was that way, he was just forward, he would just do whatever
Right.
he thought he had to do,
He seemed to be more serious-minded than
Yeah,
the other brothers.
more serious-minded, that's the word.
Yeah.
He was.
How about Gary? What do you remember about him?
Oh, Gary, oh.
Careful now.
No, he was the cutest little guy, and I was 16 when he was born. So I just carry him around, because he was just a doll. It was pleasant little guy.
Yeah.
So that was really unique.
Yeah. And his name came from where?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Eugene part. I like this boy in school, Eugene Van Meter. His brother was the quarterback in our team.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Eugene played too on the team, and I liked him. So I said, well, I think Mama picked Gary. I said, well, I like Eugene. And so they put that with Gary Eugene.
How about Autry? What do you remember about Autry?
Oh, he was a doll too. Of course, I say that about all my brothers. But Mama and I were pregnant at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so Daryl was born, my son, and Autry was born 6 months later. So they were like, you know, two little babies together.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew to really like each other.
Mm-hmm.
So he liked to watch TV and he liked football.
Mm-hmm.
So Daryl would pick a team and he would pick one, and they'd back and forth, you know.
Really?
So that made it more interesting.
Yeah. You were injured on a swing there in Henrietta, weren't you, at one time? Tell me about that.
Yeah, Mama had put me up a swing. She always did because I loved to swing. But this one time, it was a rather thick board on the, you know, to make the swing. And the rope broke. And I sat straight down on the side, the edge of that board. And it pushed my tailbone way up. And it's a wonder, you know, it hadn't really hurt me worse than that.
Right.
But it really did hurt. It really did hurt when it happened.
Did you get an x-ray or anything at the time?
No, I don't know, we just didn't do things like that. Then we didn't.
Probably couldn't afford it.
Right, you couldn't afford it, and if you're okay after that, well, that was it,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, you probably had some back problems as a result of that
Well, it might have been, because I did have a back problem.
Mm-hmm.
Had to have surgery, matter of fact.
How old were you when that happened?
Let's see. You mean when I sat
When
down
you were
on
injured,
the
yeah.
swing? I was about 12, I guess.
12.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that really did hurt.
I'm sure it did. So you went to school in Henrietta. You started there at Washington, and then you went to the junior high and
Yeah, the whole school.
the high
I went
school.
straight through.
Yeah. What kinds of things were you involved in school? Extracurricular things.
Oh, well, at recess, we would do a lot of playing, you know, like running and
Mm.
that.
Go ahead.
And I played jacks a lot, and I loved jump the rope, double rope especially.
Mm.
I could jump, you know, as hot as, they called it hot, how hot. I could jump at any of it.
Really?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. As you went into high school, what kinds of things did you participate in?
Oh, not too many things. We just went to a lot of football games,
Mm-hmm.
and then I joined the pep squad, and I really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you do as a member of the pep squad?
Well, we'd meet at the gym and have pep rallies, and you know, and learn the different different things that put together for cheering our team on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course I like that. And I'd just scream and yell at those games till I'd be hoarse.
So how did you learn to drive a car?
Oh, well, I took driver's ed
Mm-hmm.
in school, And I learned a lot from that. But Daddy decided that I needed extra practice. So we'd go down the road by the football field so that I could practice. And he'd be so nervous, that when I put on the brake, I'd put it on pretty quick, and he'd say, no, you don't put it on that hard, don't do that. And he'd just, kind of get aggravated at me sometimes, but we made it through it.
Yeah. Did you learn with a stick shift?
Yeah, I did. I didn't drive any other kind of car for a long time. First car I got on my own was a stick shift.
Yeah.
But I said, well, next time I get a car, I'm getting an automatic. Stick shift is just too hard.
Yeah. You have to learn to use the clutch.
Yeah, you did. I mean, going up a hill especially. Well, you want to do both. You want to put on the brake and the gas, because if you don't have the brake on, you're going to run into the car behind you.
Right.
Before you ever get started. So it made it harder, climbing hills especially.
What kind of car did you learn to drive in? Do you remember?
Oh, well, it was one of Daddy's that Daddy bought. I can't remember.
Seems like he had a 38 Buick.
Oh yeah, it was probably a Buick because they liked Buicks.
Yeah. He also had I think it was a 40 model Chevy or 39 or something like that. Yeah. So you worked at the cafe there as a teenager, did you?
Yeah, I did. I started to work when I was 15 waiting on customers.
Okay.
And I was so nervous that first day.
Really?
I'd get Floor May to wait on them. But I finally realized that I was going to have to do it myself.
Yeah. Any particular memories you have of working in the cafe?
Well, Daddy would go home to rest, and leave me by myself to run it.
Goodness.
And every once in a while, the people that were that had drank beer, they'd get too much, and they'd want to fight. And I'd run in between them. And I said, if you don't quit it, I'm going to call the police. And generally, that would do it, but sometimes I'd have to call the police.
Really?
Yeah. But I handled it.
By yourself?
By myself. But I guess that was good practice, learn how to handle myself.
Right.
So it was good.
So what kind of things did you do at the cafe? What work did you do?
Well, I did the dishes, for one thing. And then, I'd cook a hamburger when I had to. And then we had chili,
Yeah.
But I remember these one people came in and they ordered steaks. I thought, oh no. So I put the steaks on, and then I decided we didn't have any vegetables to go with it or anything except tomatoes. So I went next door to Watson's and bought a couple of cans of green beans, and so I'd have something to put on there.
Wow.
But I hated that. I hated when people would order things that I wasn't used to. So
but it worked out okay.
it worked out fine. I was really surprised.
Yeah. Did you have any boyfriends in high school?
Well, there was a boy I liked, but
Who was that?
that was Robert Manning. he was a quiet, real nice guy,
Yeah.
and I liked him. He'd carry my books home every once in a while to the
Really?
cafe, but I'd never let him know, you know, that I liked him.
Nothing ever developed?
Nothing
Okay.
ever developed.
Yeah.
But he went to work for the forestry, working in the forest, and somehow or another a tree fell on him or something and like that and killed him.
Oh my.
So I hated that so bad because
It's terrible.
he was really a nice guy. But anyway,
Yeah. How did you meet Talmadge?
oh, well, he came in the cafe with his dad all the time, you know, and I never really paid any attention. But I did notice that he was with his dad all the time, you know. And he came in one day with this little scarf and said, I have something for you. And I said, okay. You know, I was just, you know, oh yeah, okay. and so he gave it to me. It was really pretty. And he said, I'd like to take you somewhere on a date. And I said, well, I don't know. I have to ask my folks.
How old were you?
Because I was only, I think 16. Because I was a sophomore in high school.
Right.
And so we went together all those years till time for graduation. But I don't know, I think I just felt sorry for him, and I felt like that I loved him, you know.
How much older was he than you?
Oh, I would say at least 16 years older.
16 years older than you?
Yeah, he was much older than me.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was.
So he asked you to marry him, of course.
Yeah, he did, but I only had a month before I graduated. I don't know why he got in such a hurry all of a sudden. But anyway, I told Mama what he wanted, and she said, oh no, don't do that. You've got to finish school. You only have a month to go. I said, well, yeah, I know. But anyway, she said, no, you can't do that. Just, if you'll just wait, then, and finish school, then you can get married the next day. So I told him that, and he agreed. So I did get my diploma to finish school. I was glad. I you know,
Right.
even then I felt good about finishing school.
So how much longer after you finished was your wedding?
Well, let's see, I finished in May and got married in June.
Did you?
June the 20th.
June 20th, what year?
1950.
50.
Yeah.
And where was the wedding?
It was at the house. We had it just right there at home
On Trujan Street.
on Trujan. I wore my pretty long blue dress. And
That was your dress that you had for the senior banquet, right?
yeah, same one. Kept it, you know, all that time. But I really liked it, and I love blue, my favorite color.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had the wedding at home. Well, it was Father's Day. So we had the two dads to sign the papers, the wedding papers.
Okay.
So that made it just perfect, you know, for that.
Yeah. So where did you go for your honeymoon?
Well, we didn't go very far. Actually, I think we come back home
Really?
to mom and dad's.
So you were living with your mom and dad at the time? You
Yeah.
and Talmadge both?
Yeah,
Okay. After the wedding, you moved in with mom and dad.
yeah, for a little while.
How long?
Oh, it wasn't very long. Didn't seem like it.
Mm-hmm.
But he got to work to have a house built for us out on the Lake Road.
What
It
was the name of the street? You remember?
Oh, what was the name of that street? I don't remember the name of the street.
Yeah.
But it was a muddy thing if it rained. And I'd get a taxi. Taxi driver wouldn't even drive up in there. So I'd have to walk in that mud carrying a baby
Mm.
to our house. But that street was awful.
Yeah. So how long after you were married was Daryl born?
He was born, I got pregnant the next month, and he was born April the 3rd, 1951.
Okay. So
Yeah.
tell me about your house there out on Lake Road. You remember anything about the house in particular?
Oh, it was very nice. We had it specially built. We didn't want just a picture window. We wanted the picture window with little windows on each side you could raise up.
Hmm.
So we got that done, and they were hardwood floors, but they didn't have the vinyl floors like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that's the best kind,
Yeah.
because hardwood floors are hard to take care of, you know.
Mhm. I think that house is still there.
Yeah, I think it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see it sometime.
So you had a garden out back, right?
Oh yeah, I had big ideas. I thought I was gonna have a big, nice garden. So I got this guy that I knew in town that had horses and a plow. He came out there and plowed it all up, you know, and shoot, I didn't plant very many rows. So it was a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I planted some onions and green beans. I tried okra and squash, and tomatoes, but those all didn't do very good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd leave Daryl in there, and I should have been in there with him, but he'd be crying, you know, and I'd think, oh my goodness, I got to get in there to him. So I didn't get much at all out of my garden.
Mm-hmm.
My big garden I had plowed up.
So Daryl was born in 51, and he was born in Henrietta Hospital.
Yeah, he was born in the hospital.
How did you arrive at the name Talmadge Daryl? Talmadge, of course,
Yeah.
from his dad, but Daryl, where did that come from?
Well, I just liked that name. I had heard it, you know, and I thought, well, that's what I want to name him.
Mm.
So I just named him Talmadge Daryl.
Yeah.
Talmadge's middle name was Coolidge. Talmadge Coolidge, and I didn't want Coolidge.
Mm-hmm.
So Talmadge agreed, so
Yeah.
that's what we did.
What do you remember about Daryl?
Well, he was always really sweet. He was good-natured and funny.
Yeah.
He'd do funny little things, you know, that, like, he had seen this little bird and he tried to, you know, save it. But before he could get to it, the cat got to it. So he would just all beside himself. Oh, Mama, oh, that cat got that little bird. He was just having a fit. And I said, well, that, that's the way it is, you know. Cats, they always run after the bird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I tried to make him feel better.
Yeah.
But he was real tender-hearted.
He was, yes. I
Yeah.
remember that about him.
He had always been that way.
Mm-hmm. Was he a good baby?
Yeah, he was a good baby. He
Yeah.
was. He would, well, when he'd cry, little tears would run down like that. I said, oh, little tears in the ears. You know, I would tease him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he was a good-natured little guy. We had a buggy, and he would jump in that buggy. He'd jump all the way across the floor to the other side.
Yeah.
I'd push him back over there, and he'd jump, all the way back over there.
Mm.
It kept him entertained, you know.
Yeah. How was Talmadge as a father when Daryl was a baby? Was he a good father?
He was a good father. He was.
Was he affectionate?
Well, yeah, in a way. He didn't get real, you know, mushy, but he would hug him, and then he would take him to town and have his picture made and buy him ice cream and do all the things he liked to do, you know. So yeah, he was a good father. He was.
So when did Talmadge begin to lose interest in being married to you?
Well, we'd been married 2.5 years.
Daryl was how old
And-
at the time?
Daryl was
Probably a year
and a half,
Yeah.
something like that. And he decided he wanted to be a free man. I don't know why.
Mm.
You know, I never did ask or anything, but I was so upset.
Mm.
I mean, the day we got the divorce, we went to a restaurant, a White Castle or something like that. Wasn't White Way.
Oh, okay.
No, it was Colonial.
Colonial.
I don't know if you remember it or not, but it was
No.
downstairs from where we got our divorce.
Mm.
So we went in there, and I just cried the whole time I was there.
Mm.
You know, and then they played this song, You Belong to Me.
Really?
And that song was so sad, and it was just fitting for us, you know, at the time. Let's see, how does it go? Fly the it was about flying over, you know, different places. And then Remember You Belong to Me.
Mm.
But it was just, you know, so sad at the time.
Yeah.
Or I
Was he
thought it
sad about it, or he just wanted to be a?
He just
free man?
wanted
He wasn't
to be
upset?
free. I mean, you know, he didn't seem to be too upset about it, and they had to have a reason, you know, for your divorce, and he said it was neglect of duty.
Why did he say that?
Well, I think it was because I felt like that I should go help my parents because they had 2 crippled kids at the time. And I just thought they needed my help.
Mm-hmm.
And also Daryl could get acquainted with the family,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I'd get a taxi every day to go over there
Well, Talmadge was at work.
while he was at work. Yeah, and then, of course, I'd try to be there in the evening when he got home from work,
Yeah.
at home. But he just didn't like the idea that I wasn't at home piddling around. while my folks were struggling.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I was just always devoted to my family,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Did Mom and Dad have the laundry at that time? Or was that later?
Oh, it was a little later after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, back to Talmadge. Where did Talmadge go after he left you?
Well, I think he stayed in an apartment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he still worked at the police department.
Okay. What did he do for the police department?
He worked mainly the parking meters. He was in control of that.
Mm-hmm.
But he would stay down at the station when the guys would go to lunch or something and answer the phone,
Mm-hmm.
10-4 and out. That's what he always liked to say.
Yeah. He had a gun though, didn't he, as a part of the police department?
Yeah, he had a gun, unfortunately.
What happened with the gun?
He shot through their book
Oh no.
at the police department. You know, kind of like Barney Fife. As a matter of fact, he looked like him and acted so much like him.
Really?
Yeah, matter of fact, in the Army, he had shot himself in his leg.
Really?
And they had to, you know, do surgery and everything to fix it up, but he could walk okay. But he doesn't need to have a gun, I swear.
So
That was funny, everybody joked about him.
what happened with the shooting through the book? How did that happen?
I don't know, somehow or another, he had the gun out and bam, you know, he just wasn't careful. And I was scared when he had it at home.
Where did he keep it at home?
Kept it in the dresser drawer. But Daryl never looked in there, but if he had, he might would have picked it up because he's a real
Yeah.
curious person. But he never did, and I tried to watch, but you know, you can't watch every minute.
Mm-hmm. Did you and Talmadge ever talk about the possibility that Daryl would have muscular dystrophy?
No, we didn't, because I didn't know it was could be inherited.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea. It just never even entered my mind,
Mm-hmm.
or the folks. I don't think any of us thought that would be something that would carry on, you know, through
Mhm.
the kids.
So-
So just had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Did Mom and Dad ever talk about possibility that the next child would have muscular dystrophy?
Actually, no.
No.
They didn't even think about it.
Mm. They
Isn't
didn't
that funny
understand
how you?
the genetics at that time.
No, they just didn't understand that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have thought they would finally say, you know, it must be something that's carried on
Mm-hmm.
in the family.
Yeah. So
But-
go ahead.
But they didn't. They just didn't have any idea.
Mm-hmm. So after Talmadge left, did he continue to have a relationship with Daryl?
Yeah, he did. Up until like Daryl started to school and he couldn't get up the steps very fast, one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he knew, I think, that he had it too. And then I knew that it was carried on through genetics.
Mm-hmm. So what happened then with Talmadge at that point? Did he talk to you about it?
Actually, no. he didn't. He quit his job and just left town. I know that he felt like he couldn't stand it because he knew what it was like, because it helped with my brothers, you know, to carry them into the movies or the ball game or whatever we was going to. So he understood what it was like, and he just felt like he couldn't take it. You know, and I could understand that. You know.
Where did he go?
He went to live with his brother in Mattoon, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and we never heard from him except Floyd called him to see if he could help with the child support. And he wasn't making very much at all, so Floyd said, well, we won't do that. We can make it without that. So, but we didn't have much either, you know, when Floyd and I got married.
Did Daryl ever ask about his dad?
Oh yeah, he did. He asked the folks, you know, because I would keep them in the summertime, and Mama and Dad would keep them in the wintertime. So, and that was because they could get a school teacher to come in to the house and teach them, and that was so much better than trying to get them to school and go through all that, and they couldn't walk, and you know, so it was just so much better. And then Mama could go pioneer in the summer. That's what she wanted to do, so so we worked that out like that.
Right. So Talmadge never contacted Daryl at all after that?
Not at all.
Never heard from him?
Never heard from him.
Amazing.
So the folks, you know, they would say, well, don't worry about it. You know, he left you, and you know how they could talk. But I don't think he never gave up. He always thought about his dad.
Yeah. How did that affect you?
Well, I was upset because, you know, you would think he would want to be there to help him, and you know, because you know I was there, and I was upset because he had that, but we had to take care of him, you know. So you do what you have to do, you know.
Yeah. So how did Mom and Dad come to understand what it was that the boys had? You mentioned that she had looked it up in a medical book, but was there anything else that they did to understand what muscular dystrophy was all about?
Well, they took the boys to different doctors, trying to find out. Well, doctors there in town, you know, and they'd say, well, I think you have muscular dystrophy, you know. They had a name for it then. And they said, well, you can either keep them or take them to an institution. And Mama said, no institution. We're going to keep our kids. We're going to take them home. We're going to take care of them. Because we want them to be happy. We know they would be happy there.
Yeah. And there was nothing unusual about them mentally. They were fully alert and knew. I mean, they were as sharp as anybody.
Oh, absolutely. They had really sharp minds, every one of them. So it wasn't anything mental at all. They were as sharp as they could be.
Yeah. So what did you do after Talmadge divorced you?
Well, he got the house. I figured it was best just let him have the house. And I took the furniture. some of it was pretty nice. We had a bed. That was, oh, and this table, absolutely. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, this table was, I took over there for them to use.
Right. For mom and dad.
For mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was a bed and some bedroom furniture.
Bedroom
other things,
furniture.
some living room furniture.
Right, yeah. So I took it all over there.
So everything else got worn out except the table and chairs.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
And it's been renewed.
Right, yeah, absolutely. It's just great. Yeah.
So the bed you sold to
Annie and Clifton
Chrysler.
Yeah, he was gonna leave Annie, or she was gonna leave him. I don't remember. Anyway, they were gonna get a divorce or something, separating.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd come over he'd come over and say, "Where's my wife?" And they'd say, "Well, she's right in there if you want to talk to her." You know, but they got back together. They couldn't stay apart.
So you lived with mom and dad after you separated from Talmadge, right?
Yeah.
How long did you live there?
Oh, quite a while. Let's see, how old was I? 19. Oh, 3 or 4 years.
That long?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and I helped them out in the laundry and at the cafe. And they needed somebody to deliver the laundry. You know, they had a delivery service. And I'd have to drive the car through a creek. And oh, I hated that worse than anything. Especially after a rain, you know, you could get stuck there. And then what would you do? But I managed to make it all that time, but it was Indians. They brought their clothes down there to have them done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to deliver clothes to the Indians, you know.
Yeah. That's back behind where Walmart is now, right? On Main Street. It's back
Yeah,
behind
it
the
was
road's
back
closed.
behind there.
Closed now. There's no road there.
No, that was where it was.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did they decide, or why did they decide to open that laundry? How did it all happen? Do you remember?
Well, they just weren't doing well at the time at the restaurant.
And you were living there at the time when that
Yeah,
happened?
and I was living there. So that was how they decided to do it. Daddy said, well, we could just make a laundry out of the garage.
And I remember they built that on, and there was a guy named Charlie Southern that helped build that. Carpenter.
Yeah, Billy Southern?
Charlie Southern.
Charlie Southern. Yeah, seems like I remember that.
And they poured a slab, put sewer in it
Yeah.
for the laundry, and built that whole section on there.
Yeah.
You know, what made them decide on a laundry as a second business?
Well, they thought that Mama could be at home with the boys, you know. And it did work out well. The boys would have to lay in bed half the day because we just wouldn't have time to get them up. And I hated that, you know. They wanted to get up and they couldn't. But that was the only way we could do it. But they just never thought about that, I guess, you know. You just think, you know, we could just have a laundry, people come in and do their laundry. But then Mama had to do laundry too. They would bring their laundry for her to do. And that was what took a lot of the time.
So during that time, the boys would have to stay in bed.
They'd stay in bed. And then one of us would run in and put beans on for lunch.
Beans and cornbread.
Yeah, beans and cornbread and tea. And that was, and you guys, you know, were going to school,
Right.
so you'd come home to eat.
Yeah.
So you'd pile up them beans.
I lived on beans.
Mom would talk about how you couldn't eat enough of them beans.
That was the staple in our home.
Yes, it was.
Beans and cornbread.
Beans and cornbread every day.
With a little ketchup.
Yeah, a little ketchup. Yeah, you gotta have that.
Yeah. And Mom had to do ironing also, didn't she?
Yeah, yeah. She had this, big, I don't know what they call it.
Mangle.
A mangle, yeah. Yeah. And you could put, you know, parts of the shirt on there and run it through. The other part. It's kind of like a big iron,
Yeah.
sort of.
It was an automatic sort of thing, had a roller in it, and you
Right.
could press the bigger parts of the garment.
Right, yeah.
I remember using that.
Yeah, so she really worked hard, you know,
Hmm.
to make everything go right.
Yeah.
And then I'd run up to the cafe and work part of the day so Daddy could go home and rest and
Hmm.
do things for the boys, you know, to get them up.
Right. So we had, at that time, Albert and Autrey and Daryl all together, right?
Mhm.
Charles had died already.
Right, he had.
He died, I think, in 53, wasn't it? 54, or somewhere along in there.
Yeah. Was it after Floyd and I started going together?
Okay.
We started going together in 53,
Okay. I think he died shortly thereafter.
a little thereafter, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you meet Floyd?
Well, actually, he had been next door all the time.
To the
Even
cafe?
even down on Main Street. But I was just growing up, you know.
He had a grocery store.
Had a grocery store, both places.
Was he running it by himself?
No, he ran it with his brothers,
Ralph and Glenn
Wayne.
and Wayne?
Yeah,
All of them were together in the grocery store?
yeah, all of them were there for a while, and then Ralph went out and put in his own grocery store up by the Washington School,
It was right across the street.
across the street. So that was his store, but
Mhm.
he just wanted to get away from, you know, from all of them.
And Floyd had been in the grocery business for quite some time?
Oh yeah, well his dad passed away when his dad was 45. So then Floyd had to, since he was the oldest, he was the one who had to keep things going at the store.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me that he would have liked to have gone to college, but he didn't have the chance, but
Mm-hmm.
because he felt like he should help his family,
Right.
kind of like Daddy was, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he did, he took care of things,
Yeah.
but I felt like he missed out on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what year he got married. He married Helen,
Mm-hmm.
and they had two children
That was in Henrietta?
in Henrietta.
Really? Floyd Jr. and Carol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were together till she decided she was going to leave town, move to Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
So Floyd told her, well, you can go wherever you want to go. I'm going to be there too. Because my kids, I'm going to be with my kids, no matter where you go. So he followed her up there.
Did he sell the grocery store?
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And he had the money, and he had put it in the bank in Derby, a little town by Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just in his name. so after he died, then I couldn't get the money out.
Hmm.
So they let me write my bills till I got it all out of the bank.
Really?
Yeah, that was good of them, because
Mm-hmm.
most banks wouldn't do that.
Right. So he sold the grocery store?
Yeah, he did. He sold it and
Went out of business?
went out of business.
Okay. To go with Helen?
To go, yeah, where Helen was. So he stayed in a little apartment, upstairs apartment
In Wichita?
in Wichita.
He and Helen together?
No, Helen was somewhere else, and he said, well, I'm going to buy a house so that my kids will have a place to live, house of their own. So he started, paying on this house.
Where was that?
That was on Estelle,
You remember the address?
2256 North Estelle. And so he did bought the house for them. And when I'd come up there, sometimes I'd go over to that house on Estelle
Mm-hmm.
to be with Carol.
So how did you meet him? I mean, you had known him as a child, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was quite a bit older than you.
Yeah, I'd known him as a child when he was
had-
married the first time, and
His grocery store was next door to Dad's cafe, so he
Right.
would come in the cafe,
he'd come in the cafe every day and get his coffee.
and you were working there as a teenager.
Well, yeah, as a teenager, I was working there. I was making the coffee.
Okay.
I'd hate to see him coming because I wouldn't have the coffee made. I knew that's what he'd want.
So you'd hurry and make the coffee.
I'd hurry and make the coffee, yeah, and get that over with. That was funny, but
So was he interested in you at that time when you'd come and get coffee?
no,
No?
that was the funny thing. I didn't even know he was interested in me, and I don't guess he realized it either.
So he was still married at that time, right?
Yeah,
When
well,
you'd get coffee?
oh yeah, because he'd come just,
Yeah, from the grocery store just to take a break.
just to take a break.
Yeah. So after he moved to Wichita and was living in an apartment, how did you two get reacquainted?
Well, he'd come down to see his folks because his folks and mine lived in the same town,
Okay.
Henrietta.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would still come in for his coffee, and then I got a divorce then from Talmadge.
Right.
And I went up to him and I said, me and my old man's getting a divorce. That's exactly the way I said it, like a hick, But apparently that didn't bother him, because he said right then, I said, well, I'm going to go with that girl. and so he did ask me if I'd go somewhere with him.
So he was just down visiting in Henrietta.
Yeah, I was just down there visiting. And he didn't drink at all.
Mm-hmm.
Always came in for coffee.
Yeah.
So, anyway, he asked me to go with him, and so I said, well, you'll have to wait. You have to wait 6 months.
Because your divorce was not final.
Because my divorce won't be final. That was in February. And I said, my divorce won't be final until August.
Hmm.
I made him wait
Yeah.
from February till August. And he waited, and I thought, wow, he must be serious
Yeah.
to wait that long. So in August, he came in and said, well, it's been 6 months. Do you want to go somewhere? And I said, well, yeah. But I was real, doubtful. I wasn't sure. because, you know, I just didn't like to go with people I didn't know.
He was quite a bit older than you, right?
Yeah, I was. He was 16 years older.
Same as Talmadge.
Same as Talmadge. I guess I was just seeking the older guy. That's weird. But anyway.
Anyway, what happened?
So, let's see what did happen.
He asked you to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, and so I said, well, I don't know. And so I talked to Mama, you know. I said, well, I'll let you know later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to Mama, you know, and she said, well, you know, he is a trustworthy guy. And we've known him a long time, so I think it would be okay if you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So he came back later, and I said, well, I'll go with you.
This was your first date?
My first date. So we went to, he took me to Okmulgee, a little town just a little ways from us.
Mm-hmm.
And he parked out by the lake, overlooking the town, sort of. And I said, well, I'm just awfully nervous. He could tell I was so nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, well, why don't we just go back to town and go have something to eat? And I said, okay. So that's what we did on our first date.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about that, where you went, or?
Oh, we went to
eat?
a restaurant. I don't remember the name of it.
In Okmulgee?
In Okmulgee.
Mm.
To have something to eat.
Yeah. And then how did it progress from there?
Well, he had taken dancing lessons earlier and had never really, you know, gone dancing.
Mm.
So he said, well, we could dance if we had a place to dance. I said, oh, I know the perfect place. We can go in my dad's cafe. And I said, we can play records on the Nickelodeon and we can dance. Oh, well, we'll have to soak the windows. And I said, oh, no, we don't. I don't care who sees me. I'm not going to be doing anything bad. So that's what we did.
And the restaurant was closed. Daddy's Cafe was closed?
Yeah, it was closed.
You went in there after hours?
Yeah. Or Sunday. We'd go
on Sunday.
Yeah, that was the day we'd go. So that worked out really well.
You remember any of the songs you danced to?
Oh, let's see. Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Because when he was in the hospital, I bought him a little radio, transistor radio. And he was playing all them droning songs, you know, country. And I said, what are you listening to that for? I said, hey, we're going to turn over here. We're going to hear some good rock and roll music.
Mm-hmm.
And he liked it. He said, well, we'll have to try dancing that when I get out of here. And I said, well, yeah, we will. So he said, well, I know the perfect place to go. And I said, well, where is that? And he said, the Linger Longer in Schuyler, Oklahoma, the little town from us.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, okay, just wherever you want to go. So we went over there and, oh, we had a ball. It was so much fun.
Yeah. He was coming down from Wichita at that time to see you.
Yeah, he'd come from Wichita.
Yeah.
And we'd go out there
mm-hmm.
on Saturday night or Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we did that for quite a while, just me and him.
Mm-hmm.
Finally he said, well, why don't we take your folks with us? And I said, that's a good idea. they met at a dance and they loved dancing.
Yeah.
And so he invited them, and man, they were ready to go.
Mm.
So we'd get someone to keep the kids, you know, watch the kids.
Laverne Cantrell.
Huh?
Laverne Cantrell. Was
Yeah.
the babysitter. She was
Laverne.
Viola Moore's daughter.
Yeah.
Stepdaughter.
Yeah, she had babysat them while I was in the hospital.
Hmm.
So that was the reason we thought of her.
Yeah. You were in the hospital for
Well, I had
what reason?
I had my tubes tied
Oh, okay.
at that time. I think
Yeah.
it was. Was that the time?
Must have been.
Well,
It must have been after.
What was I in there for? Well, that was a while after, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But Laverne, I remember, she would come and sit with us while you folks would go to linger longer.
Right. Or mini stall.
Yeah, Minnie Stahl was the other one.
She wore big, heavy, big
Yeah.
glasses.
She was a character.
Yeah, she'd look over at them, you know, talking, and they'd start crying. It scared them.
She looked like a big bug.
Yeah. That was funny. We'd tease, you know, but she was
Yeah.
a good sitter.
Mhm. So how did Floyd ask you to marry him?
Well, it was funny. He never really asked me. He plays these songs, you know, that like, the main one I remember is "You Send Me,"
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke, and he loved that song. And he said, "Well, you do send me." That was the way he said it. "And I would like to take you home. I'd like to marry you and take you home." So that was his proposal. And so I didn't get a ring, but at the time, but he had later bought a red ring for an engagement, but I couldn't wear it all the time.
Yeah. It was like a ruby.
Yeah, it was like a ruby. He intended to get topaz, but they sent him a ruby, so I said, well, that's okay. I like that. And so I'd wear it on special occasions when we'd go out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went together, we went together altogether 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we got married in 1956. And it was September 13th. It wasn't Friday the 13th, but it was Thursday the 13th.
Oh, okay. And where were you married?
Well, we got married in a little town from just a little way from Wichita. What's the name of that town? I can't remember the name of it. Oh, geez.
Some north or south?
It was south. Wellington.
Wellington. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why, but anyway, that's where he wanted to get married.
You just were married by a justice of the peace?
Yeah. Yeah, we went to this little office, you know, with a desk, and then there was a lady there that helped the justice of the peace, or whatever he was. So she was our witness, and didn't take any pictures or anything. It was just, I don't know why, I didn't even think of pictures.
Yeah.
And you know, you'd think places like that would have a camera or something, but we didn't get any pictures at all. But I didn't care.
Yeah.
It was fine.
What did Mom and Dad think about you getting married again?
Well, they liked the idea. They liked Floyd a lot. Matter of fact, Daddy and Floyd were best friends. So that made it good too, you know. So So yeah, they thought it was good.
Yeah. What did Floyd think about Daryl? Did they have a pretty good relationship?
Well, they did. Daryl would call him his fancy daddy, and he called Talmadge his plain daddy.
Mm.
So he had a plain dad and a fancy dad. That was the way he put it.
Yeah.
It was cute.
They had a good relationship then.
Yeah, they did.
So Daryl didn't go to Wichita immediately to live with you and Floyd?
Well, let's see. He came for a little while, and I put him in school, but he didn't do well at all. He wouldn't pay attention. He wouldn't even try, and I said, well, that's not good. But he and Audrey always got along well, and I thought, well, Mama and we discussed it, and we thought that he'd do better there with Audrey.
Mm-hmm.
So we put him in school with Audrey, and he did really well.
Mm.
So we decided to do that for a while. And then Mama said, well, I'd like to pioneer this summer. And I said, well, why don't I keep them in the summer?
Mm-hmm.
And she had suggested that they could get a teacher to come to the house.
Mm-hmm. Because they had done that with Albert.
Yeah. Right, yeah, that would have been a good idea.
Mm-hmm. It was Mrs. Burrell.
Yeah,
with
Mrs.
Albert.
Burrell.
And with Audrey and Daryl, it was Mrs. Patterson.
Yeah. That was who it was.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it worked out really well.
Mm-hmm.
They'd come, to Wichita, and Floyd went for it. I mean, he said, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd take them places, and Floyd would put them in the car, and,
Mm-hmm.
Here we'd go. And he'd tease them a lot,
Yeah.
And he'd say, we'd go by this mausoleum, and it was funny why he would want to tease them about that. Said, we're just going to put you in there, Audrey. Audrey said, no, I don't want to be in there. He'd tease them,
Mm-hmm.
and they had fun. They'd make mud pies, and then Audrey made a cat house. Cat wouldn't stay in. It'd jump out. He said, that cat won't stay in its cat house. And I said, well, he don't want to be in there. He wants out.
Mm-hmm. So where did you live at that time?
We lived on Estelle.
But you had an apartment before that, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. I really liked that apartment. That was my first home.
Where was that?
Oh, it was on, where was it? Was it Pawnee?
Do you remember the name of the apartment complex?
Linwood.
Linwood.
Yeah, it was Linwood.
Okay.
But I can't remember the exact address. You'd think I would.
Yeah. There was a big playground in the middle of the complex there where
Yeah.
Audrey and Daryl and I would play.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Big
was
slide.
fun.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had fun.
Yeah. So how did you come to live on Estelle?
Well, Helen moved out. She went to Shawnee Mission to live. She'd met a guy up there, and
Hmm.
she went up there to live.
So that had been Helen's house.
Yeah, it had
On
been
Estelle.
Helen's house.
Okay, so Floyd bought it from Helen?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Hmm.
I think, but he was still paying on the house.
Okay.
So he just took over the payments, was how
Hmm.
that went.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I paid some on it after he passed away.
Really?
It wasn't quite paid for,
Mhm.
so I did that.
What do you remember about the house on Estelle?
It was a real nice place. It was real nice.
Mhm.
It had I think it had hardwood floors again. And let's see, it was 2-bedroom.
Mhm.
Kids slept in one room and Floyd and I in the other. We had a baby bed at one time
Mhm.
in our bedroom.
Yeah. So Teresa and Debbie were both born while you were living on Estelle?
Let's see. I think so.
Mhm.
No. We lived in the apartment
When
complex
Teresa was born.
when Teresa was born.
Okay.
And I think Debbie too, with both of
Really?
them. I had them over there, I remember, together.
How much difference in age is there between the two?
13 months.
13 months.
Yeah. Just a year apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling everybody that they were twins. I made up this story. I was real serious.
Yeah.
I said, well, you know, Debbie and Teresa are twins. Real serious. And they looked at me and said, really? And I said, yeah, because Teresa was born and Debbie was still in the fallopian tube. I didn't know what a fallopian tube was. But
Made a good story.
yeah. And they believed it for a minute. And they started thinking, said, oh, now wait a minute. That couldn't be 13 months. And I said, oh, I was teasing. But that was funny. I had them believing that.
Mhm. Was there any concern with you and Floyd about having more children after Daryl was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy?
Yeah. I think Floyd knew before I did that it was inherited and the woman was the carrier. Had no idea. And I remember Mom and Daddy used to wonder which side that comes from. You know, from Daddy or Mama's side. And as it turns out, it was Mama
Mm-hmm.
and me. I said, I feel like I'm to blame for Daryl being born that way.
Well, you didn't know at the
But
time.
no, I didn't know.
Nobody knew.
And she didn't know until later.
Right.
And it was because of Jerry Lewis, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had spent a lot of money to find out different things.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they figured that out, that the women were the carriers.
Yeah. It was
But
genetic research.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. How did you pick the name Teresa, Yvonne?
Floyd liked Teresa. Because he liked that singer, Teresa Brewer. And he liked the name Teresa, so he picked that one. And Daddy and Mama had always liked Yvonne, Winona Yvonne.
Really?
And I liked the Yvonne. And so I said, well, let's name her Teresa Yvonne.
Mm.
And they liked it, so that was what we named her.
Yeah.
And she likes it.
Right.
So that worked out really well.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember about Teresa as a child?
Well, she was a good little girl. She was like a mother to Debbie. She just looked over her, you know, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They just truly loved each other, you know, right away. So Teresa she liked to just go around, you know, and looking at things, and you know, and one day I couldn't find her, And I looked and looked and walked that whole thing, and here she come up out of the basement. I said, Teresa, what were you doing down there? She said, I was watching this lady do her laundry. And I said, oh, Teresa, don't ever do that again. You just scared me to death. So she never did do anything like that again.
Yeah, you couldn't find her.
I couldn't find her anywhere. I was going mad. Not able to find my kid.
Yeah.
So,
How did you decide on the name Deborah?
well, Albert liked that name
Really?
before she was born. He liked Deborah because it was someone in the Bible named Deborah, and he liked that. So I said, okay, we'll do that. We'll name her Deborah. And I like the name Gail. So I named her Deborah Gale, but I don't think she really liked the name Gail, but
Really?
yeah, but I always kind of liked it.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think she's accepted it by now.
Yeah. What do you remember about Debbie as a child?
About Debbie,
Yeah.
she was a little harder to handle than Teresa.
In what way?
Well, she'd get mad, and she'd go in her room and close the door all mad and tearing up Jack in there. So I'd go and open that door and I said, don't you ever do that again, and you quit messing up that room. And I'd just be getting on to her, but she'd turn around and do something else. It just, she was hard to handle.
Yeah.
Like, she had the measles, and she started getting better, and I said, well, you can go sit on the porch. The kids were playing, riding bikes. She got out there with the bike and started riding around and running, and she got sick again.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Had the measles.
Yeah, and she slept for like all day and all night, and I said, oh my God, something's wrong. But she'd wake up long enough to eat something, but she'd go right back to sleep. So I gave her a little aspirin. I know maybe I shouldn't have, but I didn't know what to give her. And we didn't go to doctors, So anyway, finally got her over that, and she was okay, but she was just so stubborn. But she was stubborn before she was born. I mean,
Really?
she was upside down, and the doctor would turn her, and she'd be right back around.
Really?
So she was born breech.
Is that right?
Yeah, feet first. So that they have to be careful that the skin doesn't come right back on their neck and could choke them.
Yeah.
And so they had to be careful to, get her all out at once. So we made it,
Yeah.
but she was a stubborn little person.
Where was she born?
She was born in Henrietta because I would go down there about a month before each was born, Debbie and Teresa. And I'd stay about a month in Henrietta because that was where my doctor was, and that was where I wanted to be. And it's where Mama wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And Floyd, he was the best thing to understand. And when we first started going together, he was so kind, and and can't help but love a person like that. But then he started drinking.
Yeah.
It was all right at first, but it just, the more he did it, the worse it got. it just got worse and worse, you know, with him.
Mhm.
But I was determined I was going to stay with him. I'd said, you know, everybody else has mistreated him, left him, but I'm sticking with him,
Yeah.
no matter what he does.
What do you think caused him to start drinking?
Hmm.
What do you think caused him to start drinking?
Well, I don't know unless he was unhappy about his first marriage, I think. I think that was a whole lot that. He felt like he was a failure to the family because the way they'd get on to him, and he felt like that they didn't approve, you know,
Didn't approve of what?
of him and Helen.
Mm.
Well, they didn't approve Helen, but he just felt guilty
Mm.
about her leaving and all that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be one big happy family, but doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's why. I don't know of any other reason.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember about Debbie? What other things could you think about?
She was really a kind person. She really caring about other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she always worried about what other people thought about her. But I said, don't worry about that. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about what people think. And so she was a caring person, and she decided that when she went to school, to college, she was going to be help children in need.
Mm-hmm.
She was determined, and she took the right subjects, and that was what she graduated with.
Mm-hmm.
A teacher to help children in need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she's done ever since.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's what she wants to do.
Right.
So I told her, I thought that was a very special thing, that she cared for other
Mhm.
kids that needed help.
Right. That's good.
So yeah, she's a good person.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other memories that you'd like to share with everybody? Thinking back on your life from the very beginning?
Well, you just keep going, you know. And like I told the grandkids, they were asking me if I thought that North Korea would send weapons over here, and I said, yeah, they'll do it. And and they really, you know, they believe it. Whatever I say, they believe it. So anyway, it's good that they feel that way about me, you know.
Yeah.
They all three just are so loving toward me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, I'm not going to be the grandma that they talk about in Kansas, that grandma in Kansas. They're going to really know me. And they did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They'd come to Teresa's in the summer, and they'd just have a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Teresa'd go to work, and then I'd try to instruct them.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't hard to do. They were good kids. They'd be downstairs playing and talking and laughing. You know, it was just a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've tried to help other people too, you know.
Right.
So, anyway, that was sort of the way it went.
Yeah. You spent a lot of time helping your brothers, didn't you?
A lot of time. Yeah, when my folks were working, then I would be taking care of them, you know. And of course, Mama was there when she had the laundry,
Mm-hmm.
so she didn't neglect the kids. It's just the fact that they wouldn't have had anything if they had
Mm-hmm.
worked hard.
Right. Well, it was good that you were there to help when you could.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed being with my brothers
Mm-hmm.
because I love my family.
Right.
I just wanted to say a few words about my daughters. And they're just wonderful. They've taken good care of me, and I really appreciate that. And they're really good, upstanding people, and very responsible. They go to work every day, and in order to keep their family going. And that's, to me, is very important. And they're very caring. They care about other people. Matter of fact, Debbie went to college and got her master's degree in teaching children in need, which to me is really outstanding. And Teresa worked and made herself what she is. She worked for an oil company, 2 different oil companies, and she learned to work the computer and to be an accountant, which she is now. So they're both very sweet people, very caring, like I said. And and Debbie has been a good mother because they're the 3 grandkids, Brandon, Stephanie, and Tyler. And they're all 3 just great people. And she's really worked hard at accomplishing that, along with Phil. So they've just turned out to be really great people, and I love them a lot.
That's great. And I know you wish the best for Teresa in her new marriage.
Yes, I do. I wish Teresa the best.
That's great.
Yeah, because Dan is a great person. He's very intelligent, and he loves Teresa. So that's very important too.
Good.
Yeah, so I love them both very much.
And I know they love you too.
Yeah, I'm sure of that.
So thinking back, what would you like for your loved ones to remember about you? Your kids, your grandkids, your brothers?
Yeah, I want them to think that I was a good person and wanted to help others. You know? And I have told Teresa, you know, I've had so many problems with the hurting and all that, and surgeries and stuff, and I said, well, I've been through hell, so now I want to go to heaven. And Teresa said, oh, you're going to be there, no doubt. So, hopefully, well, I hate to say I hope so. I should say I know so. But anyway, I've tried to live a good life and a Christian life, because I think that's important. course, you know, I'm not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, but that's just the way it is.
Right.
Yeah, do what you have to do.